But so we do have a ton of NFL free agency stuff going on here, and
Yes.
like we said plenty of times throughout the show, March 9th is the official date that teams can start signing players. March 9th at 4 p.m. So I will be getting out of work, skipping the gym, staring at my phone the entire time. Just kidding about that, but no, I will be keeping up with it as tight as I can.
Oh, I can't.
So I listed here. I think 6 players here, 7 players. The bigger names at each position. We have a corner, defensive end, offensive guard, linebacker, wide receiver, and tight end. Just wanted to go through them and get your opinion on where you think they're going to end up.
Okay.
So first, I had Calais Campbell, defensive end from the Cardinals, and my pick for where he's going to end up going would be the Raiders, only because that offense has looked so amazing over the last couple years, 2 or 3 years with AC/DC. The offense has looked so great that I think it's really time for them to shore up their defense, take a stab at winning the league while the window is open. They're a young team that's not building, and you have their
average
money
age
situation.
Oh yeah. Their average age they're all on average 25 years old. So you're right, it is a young roster, and they have $44.6 million of cap space. So I could see Calais Campbell going there.
Yeah.
And really, there's a lot of teams I can see Calais Campbell going to. Calais Campbell's one of those guys that's reliable.
He is old. He's
older,
31, so he's old for the NFL.
But he's reliable. And I think a team that is potentially lose Donta Hightower and losing Chris Long, I could see Calais Campbell going on a Patriots discount to go win a championship. It's one of those teams. They have $59 million in cap space. The Patriots.
That's almost unfair.
Literally, they are the best team in the NFL, and they're about to even get better. So for Blitz for 6, if you spend that money properly, which that they never don't. They never are frivolous with their money.
I mean, if they were bad at spending their money,
they certainly
wouldn't have won 5 rings in the last
and they're
12
so
or
good at
so years.
They're so good at like Chandler Jones, bye. Who just signed with the Browns? Jamie Collins, goodbye. They did not want to sign Sebastian Vollmer, who's a guy that's been there for a long time, but they released him. And it's one of these things that the Patriots do. But you're going to have to replace these guys. And I think that's their thing, is that they're not scared to go out and replace a guy because they know they're going to find someone who wants to play in New England. I mean, who doesn't? Who doesn't want to play in New England?
Right.
And so I look at a guy like Calais Campbell who is getting older, not getting younger. And if you're looking at the guy, the teams that have the money to sign him, I mean, the top 13 teams, I'd say only 3 or 4 of them have a chance of going to the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. So the Packers are at 13. They have a chance, but not nearly the chance that, let's say, the Broncos have, the Raiders have, or I'd say there's 4 teams in the top 13 teams that, in cap space wise, that have a real shot at going to the bowl.
Right.
And the Patriots, they could pay Calais Campbell. They have the money to do it. And I think he's a type of player that fits their scheme as far as at the defensive end position. So
you got the Patriots. I got the Raiders on that.
I'm saying I could. Right now, the NFL is so crazy. Anyone can go anywhere, and there's no surprises. Right. There's only no surprises.
If anybody else wants to add input, I am on Dominic's Facebook right now answering some comments.
Yeah, do that.
I know Brandon Davis wants to talk a little bit about Brett Laurie. He is a free agent in
Brandon's
baseball,
Brandon Davis is a.
He keeps up with it a little bit, but
okay, Brandon.
We can talk about that a little bit later. But if you guys have any free agents or free agents to be, where
definitely
you think
drop
they're going,
a
let
comment.
us know. I'm at least responding on Facebook. So next, I have your boy TJ Lang, offensive guard. I have him.
He's
going
probably
to
the best guard on the He's the best guard on the.
I would say he might be the second best player available right now.
Just of all.
I would say he'd be close.
I don't think you're not lying.
So I have him going to the Broncos. With their quarterback situation being in flux with Lynch, Simeon, or possibly I heard Glennon. You want to see maybe if Romo goes there? I mean,
that would be a
protect
terrible
Romo.
decision to put Lennon? Is he really much better than?
Jeez, Lennon turning down $14 million a year, I think it was, which is crazy.
I read 7. I read 7. I think it was a 2-year, $14 million.
Okay, yeah. But so I'd say the protection for the Broncos will be key with these young guys that they have here or whoever they're going to bring in. I don't think you can get a much better offensive lineman than Lang. And if you're going to use a young and inexperienced quarterback, you might as well protect him. So my opinion on that would be the Broncos. I think they might fight for him. You have any idea where you're thinking he's going as far as?
So I'm looking at the teams that T.J. Lang is not young, but he's not super old. I think a lot of these players. I think you'd be remiss to say that these players don't want to go somewhere where they can't win a championship. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? They want to be somewhere where they think that they have a real chance of winning the Super Bowl. But there are players that really just go for the money. And Alshon Jeffrey could potentially be one of those guys. Because really, when you break down some of the max deals that we've seen in the past, like when Gordon Hayward signed with the Jazz, like the Jazz are definitely not on the rise for me to sign a max deal. If you're someone that, now he's a little younger, granted, but like, could I see Lang going to any of the top 5 teams with the cap space? So Browns, Niners, Jags, Bucks, Titans. No. Mm-hmm. So I can't see them going there. Could I see him re-sign with the Packers? Packers probably won't pay him. But I'd like to see, maybe does Dallas want to spend money? I mean, I don't know what's happened in free agency with him, if they've lost anyone. But Dallas is always willing to spend money. Unfortunately, though, they're towards the bottom.
Yeah,
they only have 4.2. So yeah, they really don't have any money to spend. And that doesn't even probably count rookies.
That probably doesn't count rookies.
So Cowboys are definitely out of the mix for any free agent signing. So you hear that the Dallas Cowboys probably won't re-sign anyone. My first thought was I didn't know how much they had.
The only thing,
and I was thinking Revis to the Cowboys, but there's no money.
Right.
There's just no money.
The only guy on this list that I have here, and we can skip down to him. We have Stephon Gilmore still here, Donta Hightower, Alshon Jeffrey, and Martellus Bennett. The only guy for me that I could see the Cowboys picking up would be tight end Martellus Bennett. Now, I have the Patriots here because I think he's got a good situation there with Gronk's injury history.
Yeah.
He looked comfortable with Tom Brady and obviously fan favorite, especially going into playoffs when he's dancing around with the cheerleaders. Everybody was getting a kick out of that. So I think he could stay with the Pats, but the Cowboys, I definitely could see signing him. Maybe a backloaded deal once they can get a little bit of money off the books, maybe next year.
I wonder how Martellus Bennett, because he's a very politically charged person.
Right.
I wonder how he feels about Tom Brady being friends with Trump. I'm not even trying to be petty. I'm not trying to be petty. Like,
yeah, you'd like to see that stuff kind of stay out.
But we have seen him say things in the past, and I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Does he care about that? Because if he wants to win, and we've talked about with Gronk's injury history, you could see him starting a lot of games or getting only a 60-40 split in snaps. So 2 tight end sets. We know that they used to love to do that with Hernandez and Gronk, but Hernandez, is a murderer.
Yeah.
So I think this is now their first time to get into it. I'd be remiss if they didn't give him a contract extension, especially with the money and how important he was. Mm-hmm. He almost caught that last touchdown.
Right.
Whether you think it was pass interference or not, it was almost a catch, and that could have almost been your dude.
Right. We can move on to the wide receiver set here because there's a bunch of wide receivers.
Oh,
too.
yes, there is.
Alshon Jeffrey is the main one that we talked about, but we did get a comment on the Facebook Live video from Kristen Orosky. She does tune in, one of my sister's best friends, so we appreciate that.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
She asked if the Giants should seek out Brandon Marshall or Terrell Pryor. I don't think they're going to be going for Jeffrey, so it's a good question.
It's actually a really good question. Thank you, Kristen, for that. I'd have to say Brandon Marshall over because I'm looking. Let's look at cap space. Where are your Giants at with cap space? Do you know offhand?
I believe they're somewhere in the middle, maybe to the middle, back end of the middle. I'm not 100% sure. I mean,
so they have 14. They have $14.6 million. Terrell Pryor is almost a $10 million or $9 million a year player. So you don't even have rookies signed yet, and you're looking at $14 million, and I don't foresee any releases happening. JPP, what?
He was franchise tagged, so he's probably going to be around for the year. My personal preference as a Giants fan would be Pryor. Brandon Marshall's a little too old now. Do you want that veteran presence there? Maybe you do. Brandon Marshall, as far as personality wise goes, is no Victor Cruz.
My question is, will the Giants spend the money that Pryor's worth? Especially,
you could argue that they might.
How much is Adrian Peterson in this running?
Right.
I mean, did the release of Darkwa really set that up? Is that what that was?
I think they're looking to have Paul Perkins just be the number one guy
and then
all
draft,
the time.
and then maybe draft or just sign undrafted free agents.
Right. So I think they might have room for wide receiver, and the offense was
no Victor Cruz anymore.
Right.
So it makes a lot of sense. Great question, Kristen.
Pryor will fit in there. So
Pryor fits in anywhere.
Right. Well, yeah.
But also,
he's all over the place.
You have to imagine Pryor maybe wants to be the number one guy. Pryor could be a guy that maybe doesn't care about where he goes. Mm-hmm. This is one of those guys I could see signing for the biggest deal.
Right.
And sometimes some guys just don't care about the NFL like some of the other players.
I mean, he is the second biggest name, I'd say, as far as wide receiver
next
go,
to Alshon Jeffrey. But he doesn't have the question marks that Jeffrey does. Mm-hmm. Jeffrey, I think, had a serious hip injury.
And, he also had the suspension with,
of course,
the drugs. So as far as Alshon goes, there's multiple teams in the running for him.
Yeah. Who do you have listed here?
I have the Eagles, Cowboys, and I guess the Cowboys probably are off after looking at the money situation. The Niners and the Bears. I honestly can see the Eagles taking a major stab, and as a Giants fan, I would hate to see that, but because I like to sit there watch and say, "Oh my God, I can't believe the dude dropped another ball! Like this is a joke.
This is a dream."
Yeah, but Alshon Jeffrey, I could see him going, especially if they don't make a trade for Cooks. I could definitely see Alshon coming here to Philly, and that would, with having him and Wentz, that would rejuvenate this fan base like crazy.
And it gives them something credible. How I'm looking at Alshon Jeffrey is, well, first off, with the Philadelphia Eagles, they are going to be in on every single person that is on the free agent market. I don't care who it is. I'm looking at this thing right now. Deshaun Jackson, Pierre Garçon, Kendall Wright. These are all notable names. Some older guy, Vincent Jackson, I think could get a second string appearance on a team somewhere.
What about a Torrey Smith now, too?
Torrey Smith is on there. Kenny Stills wants $10 million a year. So we'll see where Kenny Stills ends up. Maybe he ends up having to sign with a team that's not in the run because of how much, again, this is a guy that I don't think cares about where he wants to go and play. Mm-hmm. Other names, we have Kenny Britt and Brian Quick from the LA Rams. Anquan Bolden, does he want to play anymore? Is that just, an official thing to say he's a free agent?
Right.
Terrence Williams, an awesome slot guy for the Dallas Cowboys. I'd like to see where he ends up because he's a great route runner.
There's a lot of wide receivers, not as many big names, but a lot of wide receivers.
No, a lot of quality guys. I mean, and going up
quality.
The list, Terrell Pryor, we said, but the Bears, Deontay Thompson and Marquise Wilson, guys that I think are quick, have great hands. And then you go up the list a little bit. Robert Woods from Buffalo, he's a former USC guy. He's got real wheels. And then you have Percy Harvin and a guy from Baltimore like Kamar Aiken. Mm-hmm. Someone that I think is more undervalued. You'll see him probably go in the second or third day when the other dominoes have fallen. But when we're looking at wide receiver, the Eagles are in on everybody. I actually heard that they were trying to trade for Torrey Smith last offseason, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, now they won't have to pay him all that money too. He can take a little bit less cash, and
I'd like to.
Maybe they'll go for two guys.
I think the Eagles. Well, you can't go for just one guy. I think bringing in Vincent Jackson and maybe paying a whole lot of money to Torrey Smith. Maybe you keep Dorial Beckham-Green just because he's large.
They should have used him so much more last year, in my opinion.
Well, we would have known if the Eagles would have released these guys. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious because they literally have not. The Eagles have not released Jordan Matthews.
They are
Dorial Beckham-Green. They haven't released Nelson Aguilar. They did release a guy named Michael Johnson, but that's more of a.
They are talking about releasing Matthews. I did read that today that they're talking about releasing him. So
Okay.
We do only
I'm just
have.
surprised that they didn't do it already.
Yeah.
What do you have left?
We actually are out of time as far as the free agents go, but we are live. We can keep talking about it. I'll cut up the show. I'll cut up the show a little weird later. It's
Well,
the
all
the
right.
live is definitely the more.
Remember,
what we
this
wanna
is
hit
Young and
more.
Dominant Sports Talk right here on Facebook Live on my personal Facebook page. We are coming to you live from Broad and Gerard alongside Tyler Young. I am Dominic Barone with a little bit of a stuffy nose. Excuse me.
It's that time of the year.
It's summer and winter every other day.
Yeah, yep. It's always that time of the year. What the hell am I talking about? Everybody's always sick.
Yeah.
We got two more guys here that I want to talk about. Cornerback Stephon Gilmore, who was with the Bills. And, this guy is big news. He's looking to get top 5 cornerback money.
Well, he's been doing a good job up there in Buffalo.
He's a young guy. He was a stud last year. This one is one that stumped me. So I don't know if you have an opinion on it. I did read that the Bears and Jets are both interested in him.
Bears and Jets?
But
Okay.
neither of them seem, poised to compete. And this dude, he talks a big game. I think he wants to win. So I'm not quite sure who's looking at him, who wants to pay him.
Well, a name on here that we didn't put on, AJ Abuye. AJ Bouye. He's the cornerback from the Houston Texans. He's a guy that I think is going to set. He's going to be the first cornerback, I think, or the most highly sought after. I think Darrell Revis, with his age, is going to be a guy that, and also it's going to set the tone for the contract. Because that's another thing. I want to see who does someone overpay for Bouye or not. And I think that's going to determine who gets paid and how. Stephon Gilmore, I could see the Eagles maybe going for him because they desperately need a cornerback.
Yeah, absolutely.
But also because of their draft situation, they might just go to the combine because there's so many corners at the combine. I can't underestimate what I saw. Freakish defensive backs.
Yeah.
Freakish. A guy like Jabril Peppers who can literally play anywhere. He's a matchup guy.
Right.
He's just a guy that you could put on Julius Edelman. You could put him on a tight end. You could put him in free safety. It's just one of those guys.
I've yet to actually watch any of the combines. So, but there's a lot of guys, and
it's nuts.
But the thing is, with this new money that the NFL is opening up in the salary cap, I could actually see. You said Bouye getting overpaid. I could see a lot of overpays.
A lot of overpays is going to happen.
Yeah,
because everyone's so excited. It's like a frenzy
right.
almost, right?
But I would say maybe Claiborne goes off the board first because he's going to be the guy to set the tone for how much
Morris
money
Claiborne?
Sorry, not Claiborne, Gilmore.
Oh, Gilmore.
I think Gilmore will get taken first just because he's going to set the tone as far as how much corners are going to make in free agency. And the last guy that we have here, linebacker Dante Howard,
Hightower.
Hightower. The Patriots decided to not franchise tag him, so he is going to be an unrestricted free agent. Did hear the Patriots are interested in bringing him back.
I think Dante Hightower, because he almost, if you look at the past 2 Super Bowl victories by the Patriots, you could say he caused both of the victories. The strip sack on Matt Ryan and then stopping Marshawn Lynch in the Super Bowl, essentially on the one.
Right.
Which set up the Malcolm Butler Reed interception.
Well, he's a clutch guy just from the performances in the past.
Typically healthy.
Mm-hmm. And he's going to get a lot of money. Now, hear me out here. I'm thinking the Raiders. We saw how much money they have left here to spend this offseason. And prior to writing the show out, I wasn't really 100% sure on what kind of money that they had. Now that we have the numbers right up in front of us, and they do have a lot of money there to spend. What is it, $44 million exactly this year?
44.6.
I'm saying they go hard after both Calais Campbell and Dante Hightower and shore up that defense like crazy. Pull a Giants 2016 and just throw that money. I could definitely see Hightower and Campbell both ending up in Oakland and maybe eventually Las Vegas.
I think the Raiders. I think the signing that they want to make is Adrian Peterson. Because I don't think Latavius Murray is going to stick around. He only had 758 rushing yards. Not that great. But he also had a low number of snaps in comparison to other guys. So I could be wrong. But I look at Adrian Peterson. I think that's the Raiders' top priority is to sign Adrian Peterson. So I'm not exactly sure.
Well, when you have Cooper and you have Carr, and you're a throw first offense, by a long shot. And Latavius Murray is no slouch. He's a good running back.
Yeah, I guess we've heard that Peterson is interested in the Raiders, bar the Raiders interested in Adrian.
Yeah. Personally, if I'm them, and I'm no GM, I don't make decisions. This is just talk.
Right.
But I do see this team as a Super Bowl contender. I think they can be a favorite.
They are.
And
no doubt.
If that's out of pocket, excuse me, but I do think if they shore up this defense, go for a Hightower and Campbell, pay them a lot of money, give them a few years.
And I think you have a legitimate pitch too with Donta Hightower. If he wants to win more rings, if he's chasing rings, the guys that can pay him, the top 10 guys that could pay him, which is essentially out of the top 10, it would be Patriots and Raiders. Because Bengals, Bears, Colts, I think this guy is used to winning. Mm-hmm. I don't think he's going to want to go to a losing team. So I think he either goes. I think you could see the Raiders paying him. I could see the Patriots also paying him. Maybe not as much, but paying him in rings. Because with or without him, they're going to go again.
Right.
Somehow, some way.
Yeah, I mean it was unfortunate for them this year. So I'm thinking they're coming. They're coming hard for the playoffs this year, and 2017 is going to be a big year for the Raiders, and good on the Oakland fans too. It's
going to be a big year for the combine and for the draft. I think we're going to see, and that's another thing that I want to point out is that free agency affects the combine and the draft first. It's not the draft affecting necessarily free agency for more teams than not, I'd have to say.
Right. Well, yeah, the March 9th free agent signing, that's a good month and a half in advance of the draft.
A point that I wanted to make is guys with teams with the top 10 or 15 pick, even if they're a fit for a cornerback, I think that they're going to go. I think they'd rather, depending on team need, obviously. But a team who has a chance to sign Jabril Peppers, I don't think is going to try to sign a big name DB, because I think that's where you'd want to spend a 5-year, $27 million contract is on Jabril Peppers. Mm-hmm. So when I don't have the draft order in front of me, that'll be with us next week, because then we'll see what teams are going to be.
What team needs are going to be there.
Especially after free agency.
Yeah.
Because let's say someone goes and signs Darrelle Revis, and it's a team that has a top 10 pick. They're probably not going to go and sign Jabril Peppers. They are probably going to go sign an offensive guy and save that draft pick for a high pick for defense.
Take one of the top guys on D.
Or somewhere else, maybe a defensive end. But I think right now it's a large market for cornerbacks in the NFL, and it's a large market for rookies. You're going to see more corners going in the first round, and maybe not more than you've seen before, but high-quality guys, fast guys, long guys. There's two shutdown corners coming out of Colorado State, and they're just monstrous, dude. There's a guy, Obi, coming from UConn. He's just so large. Mm-hmm. And if I have a first-round pick, and I have I want to spend my money wisely, I want to go for a young guy that's cheap who has no mileage versus Darrelle Revis or even Stephon Gilmore. I believe in the draft more than I do free agency.
Depends on what you're looking for.
Yeah, and the draft, if I'm not mistaken, they didn't bump it up yet like they wanted to. I've heard they wanted to bump it up to April, but it's in May. Right here in Philadelphia, believe it or not, pretty awesome. I'm definitely trying to go.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna make it out to the third day. I think third day is a Saturday. Work schedules.
It's actually all outdoors this year.
Yeah,
the whole thing.
I probably won't make it to day 1 or day 2, but third day nobody's gonna be down. Not as many people will be down there. There will be a lot of people down there, but
which is more your speed. I'm trying to go down there when it's packed.
Hey man, I got a full-time job. I can't just get out of work and get there, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm a college student.
I wish I could, because if I was able to call out of work, I just would.
What time does the draft start?
It starts sometime at night, but I'm pretty sure it's a non-ticketed event too, so it's first come, first serve.
Oh, really?
I think. I'm not 100% sure.
I mean, even though I don't have a big boy job, like I don't have time to just stand in line either.
Yeah, sit down. I'm not waking up at 6 a.m. to sit out there.
I'm trying to buy like a $50 ticket.
Yeah. I mean, if it is ticketed, maybe we should look into it. but neither of us got the time to camp out. So
I definitely don't have time to camp out. And then I guess we can maybe talk about quarterbacks next week because there are a lot of them. And I think it's tough to talk quarterbacks right now because there's so many different there's more quarterbacks now available either through draft or free agency than I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, arm talent like Kaepernick and Cutler are just out there to be taken.
Well, now it looks like backups are getting paid a lot, too.
Mike Glennon and A.J. McCarron, Jimmy Garoppolo. Just because the Patriots said they wouldn't doesn't mean someone makes a better offer and doesn't get him. Tony Romo is a guy that people are looking at. So, and then obviously the draft. And then you have guys like, for example, Brian Hoyer as a backup, Ryan Fitzpatrick, and Mike Glennon, just to name a few. So